My mother-in-law said, "Sign the prenup or there's no wedding," so I added a clause that she didn't read. I knew she wouldn't. Victoria had this habit of skimming documents, trusting her lawyer had handled everything. She'd flip to the signature page, scrawl her name, and move on. The prenup was brutal. If the marriage ended, I'd leave with nothing. But Victoria had insisted on one clause that made my blood boil. Any children would be raised exclusively by her son if we divorced. As if I'd be unfit by default because I came from a middle-class family. So I added my own clause. Page 47, buried in legal jargon. It stated that if Victoria interfered in our marriage more than 3 documented times per year, she'd forfeit her position as trustee of the family estate. All power would transfer to her son, my fiancé. She signed without reading. We smiled for photos that night. The first year was peaceful. Then we announced I was pregnant. She started showing up unannounced. Rearranging our nursery, hiring nannies without asking, booking a hospital suite in her name, insisting the baby would have her maiden name. I documented everything, dates, times, witnesses. By month 7, I had 14 incidents logged. When our daughter was born, Victoria tried to hold her first, before me. The nurses had to block her. That was incident 15. At the christening, she announced she'd enrolled our daughter in a private academy without consulting us. Incident 16. She'd put down $50,000 using money from my husband's trust. My husband finally saw it. We scheduled a meeting with the family lawyer. I brought my documentation and the prenup. The lawyer went pale at page 47. He'd never read it either. "This clause is legally binding," he said quietly. "Mrs. Victoria, you've exceeded the threshold." Victoria's face went from confusion to rage. "What clause?" I slid my copy across the table, highlighted in yellow. She read it, then looked at me with pure hatred. "You conniving little..." "Mother," my husband interrupted. "You brought this on yourself. As of now, you're removed as trustee," the lawyer said. Victoria stood so fast her chair fell. "You planned this from the beginning." "You signed without reading," I said. "I learned from watching you." Her lawyer tried to find loopholes. There weren't any. She'd made it ironclad herself. As Victoria reached the door, she turned back. Her voice was ice. "You have no idea what you've done. That estate isn't just money. There are arrangements, agreements that have been in place for decades." "What arrangements?" my husband asked. She smiled without warmth. "The kind that don't appreciate sudden changes. The kind your father died protecting you from." Silent. My husband's father had died 3 years ago. Single vehicle collision. No witnesses. "What are you saying?" he whispered. Victoria straightened her jacket. "Some family secrets are kept secret for a reason. You should have left things alone." She walked out. The door clicked shut. My husband sat frozen. His father's death had always felt wrong. Too convenient. Right after he'd threatened to divorce Victoria. The lawyer was sweating. "We should hire security." That sounded like a threat. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Congratulations. Hope you can live with what comes next." My husband's face went white. "We need to go. Now. The baby's with your sister." We ran to the car. My hands shook. What had I done? My father told me something before he died. He said, driving 20 over. He said if anything happened, I should check safety deposit box 347 at First National. Did you? Mom said she'd emptied it already. We were 3 blocks away when we saw the ambulance. My sister's apartment building. Lights flashing red and blue against brick. My husband slammed the brakes. I was out before the car stopped moving. "That's my baby!" I screamed at the paramedics. "Where's my daughter?" A police officer grabbed my arm. "Ma'am, calm down. Who are you?" "The mother. My sister lives in 4B. She's watching my daughter." "What happened?" The officer's expression shifted. "Your sister is fine. She's inside giving a statement. There was a break-in attempt." My knees went weak. My husband caught me. "Someone tried to force the door," the officer continued. "Your sister called 911. By the time we arrived, they were gone." My sister appeared in the doorway, holding our daughter. Both were crying. I ran to them, pulled them close. My baby was safe, for now. Inside the apartment, my sister was shaking. "They knew her name," she whispered. Through the door, they said they were here to collect the Ashford heir. That was the exact word. Collect. The Ashford name. My husband's family. "Did you see them?" the detective asked. 2 men. Dark suits. One had a scar across his cheek. They didn't seem surprised when I called the police. They just walked away. Slowly. Like they had all the time in the world. My husband was on his phone. Voice low. When he hung up, his face was ashen. I called my father's old partner. The one who retired right after Dad died. He said we need to leave the city. Tonight. "Why? What's going on?" "The estate isn't just family money. It's payments. Protection payments. To some very dangerous people. My father found out and wanted to stop it. Mom couldn't let that happen." The room went silent. "Are you saying your mother killed your father?" I asked. "I'm saying she didn't stop it from happening." His voice cracked. "And now she's sending a message. She can reach our daughter whenever she wants." The detective looked between us. "If you have information about a murder, we don't," my husband said firmly. "We have speculation, and a very powerful woman with very expensive lawyers." That night, we packed everything that mattered into 2 suitcases. My sister came with us. We drove until dawn, switching cars twice, paying cash at a motel 6 hours away. In that cramped room, my husband finally opened up about his family, his childhood in a mansion that felt like a museum, dinners where business was discussed in code, men in suits who visited his father's study late at night, his mother's perfect smile that never reached her eyes. "I thought it was normal," he said. "Rich family politics. I didn't realize we were criminals." "You're not a criminal. My family is. And the money I inherited, our money now, it's all dirty." I looked at our sleeping daughter. "Then we give it back." "To who?" "The people my family's been paying off. They won't just let us walk away." He was right. We were trapped. The next morning, I called the family lawyer from a burner phone. He picked up on the first ring. "I was hoping you'd call. We need to meet. There's something you should know about that safety deposit box." Victoria said she emptied it. She lied. Your husband's father renewed the rental 3 days before he died. I was there. He made me witness him place something inside. A manila envelope. He said if anything happened to him, I was to make sure his son got it. Why didn't you tell us this before? Silence. Then, Victoria pays my retainer. I had to be careful. But after yesterday's meeting, after seeing what she's become, I can't keep quiet anymore. We arranged to meet at a diner 2 towns over. The lawyer arrived with dark circles under his eyes, constantly checking over his shoulder. He slid a key across the table. Box 347. I made a copy years ago, just in case. Your father-in-law was a good man. He didn't deserve what happened. What did happen? My husband asked. The lawyer looked around, then leaned in. He discovered the estate wasn't originally your family's money. It belonged to the Volkov family, Russian mob. Your grandfather laundered it in the 1980s, invested it, grew it. In exchange, the Volkovs used the Ashford name for legitimate business dealings. It was supposed to be temporary. It's been 40 years. My stomach dropped. The payments Victoria mentioned, 20% annually, paid quarterly. Your father wanted to go to the FBI, cut a deal, get immunity. Victoria found out. She told the Volkovs. They made it look like an accident. And you knew this? My husband's voice was dangerous. I suspected. I couldn't prove it. They're very careful, very professional. He pushed an envelope across the table. This was in my desk. Delivered this morning. No return address. Inside was a photo of our daughter at the park, from yesterday. Before Victoria even knew she'd lost her position. They've been watching you for weeks, the lawyer said. Waiting to see if you'd be a problem like your father. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. What do they want? Compliance. Victoria maintains the arrangement, keeps the money flowing, everyone wins. But now you've removed her as trustee. The payments can't continue without proper authorization. The Volkovs are getting nervous. So we just give it back to her? It's not that simple. Once she's removed, only a court order can reinstate her. That takes time. The quarterly payment is due in 6 days. If they don't receive it, he didn't finish. He didn't have to. We went to the bank as soon as it opened. First National downtown branch. The security guard watched us carefully as we signed in for the safety deposit boxes. Box 347 was in the basement vault, behind 3 separate locked doors. The manila envelope was thick. Inside were photographs, spreadsheets, account numbers, decades of evidence, payments to politicians, judges, police captains. The entire city infrastructure, bought and paid for. And there, in my father-in-law's handwriting, if you're reading this, I'm dead. Victoria made her choice. Now you make yours. The FBI contact is Agent Raymond Chen. He's clean. He's been investigating the Volkovs for 15 years. This will give him everything he needs. But once you hand this over, there's no going back. They'll come for you. Take your family and disappear before you do this. I'm sorry I wasn't brave enough to finish it myself. At the bottom, a phone number. We stood in that vault for 20 minutes, not speaking. Our daughter started fussing. She was hungry. It was time for her nap. Such normal concerns while we held evidence that could destroy an empire. My husband's phone rang. Unknown number. He answered on speaker. You took something from the bank. A man's voice, accent thick. We have cameras everywhere. Bring the envelope to Pier 7 at midnight. Alone. Or your sister dies first, then the baby. The line went dead. They're bluffing, I said. They can't just... My phone buzzed. A video. My sister, tied to a chair, tape over her mouth. A man's hand gripping her hair. The video was time-stamped 7 minutes ago. We'd left her at the motel. How did they find her so fast? Pier 7, midnight, I go alone. My husband's voice was hollow. No. We call Agent Chen. We end this now. They'll kill her before the FBI can move. You know they will. He was right. We both knew it. The drive back to the city took 4 hours. We didn't speak. Our daughter slept in her car seat, oblivious. I kept thinking about my father-in-law, about the choice he couldn't make, the bravery he couldn't find. At 11:30 p.m., we parked 6 blocks from the pier. My husband held me for a long time. If something happens, nothing's going to happen. If it does, take our daughter and run. Use the account numbers in the envelope. There's clean money hidden in the Cayman accounts. Money my father set aside. Enough to disappear properly. We should call the police. The police are paid off. You saw the photos. Everyone's compromised. He kissed me. I love you. I'm sorry I brought you into this. He walked toward the pier. I watched until he disappeared into the darkness. Then I called Agent Chen. He picked up on the second ring. I've been waiting for this call for 3 years. How much time do I have? 20 minutes. Maybe less. Pier 7. They have my sister. They want the evidence. Can you send me photos of everything in that envelope? My hands shook as I photographed each page. 47 photos in total. Every piece of my father-in-law's investigation. Got them, Agent Chen said. Now get your daughter and drive to the federal building. Don't stop for anything. We'll have agents pick up your sister. What about my husband? We'll get him out. But I need you safe first. You're the witness now. Without you, this evidence is just paper. I started the car. 3 blocks. That's as far as I got. A black SUV blocked the intersection. 2 men got out. One had a scar across his cheek. I threw the car in reverse. Another SUV behind me. They pulled me from the car. One of them grabbed my daughter. I fought, screaming, kicking. A fist connected with my jaw and the world went dark. I woke up in a warehouse. My daughter was crying. My sister was tied to a chair beside me, unconscious. My husband knelt on the concrete, hands bound behind his back, blood running from his nose. A woman stood in the center. Tailored suit, gray hair, not Victoria. The Ashford family has been useful for 40 years, she said. Russian accent. Victoria understands the arrangement. She plays her role. She profits. Everyone is happy. You, however, are causing problems. We just want out, I said. Keep the money. We don't care. It's not about the money. It's about trust. Your father-in-law broke that trust. We made an example. Now you break it too, with the FBI. She nodded to one of her men. He held up a phone, showing Agent Chen's number in my recent calls. 43 minutes ago. Very disappointing. We haven't given them anything. The photos say otherwise. Agent Chen is assembling a task force as we speak. My people in the police department are stalling, but not for long. This creates complications. She walked to my husband, put a gun to his head. No, I screamed. You have two choices. One, I kill your husband now, then your sister. Then you watch as your daughter grows up in my organization, trained to be useful. Or two, you make this go away. How? The FBI already has everything. You tell them your father-in-law was paranoid, fabricated evidence, that you were scared and didn't know what you were doing. You recant. Agent Chen's investigation falls apart without your testimony. They'll never believe that. They will if you're convincing enough. You're a middle-class girl who married rich, overwhelmed by family drama. Your husband's unstable mother made threats. You panicked, called the FBI in hysterics. Now calmer, you realize it was all a misunderstanding. You take a settlement, sign an NDA, disappear into your comfortable life, never speak of this again. She cocked the gun. Choose now. We'll do it, my husband said. We'll recant everything. Just don't hurt them. The Russian woman smiled. Smart boy, just like your father should have been. They kept us for 3 days. In that warehouse with guards rotating in shifts. They brought food, diapers, formula, kept my daughter healthy. That was almost worse. The professional care, like we were livestock being maintained. On day 2, Victoria visited. She looked at me with something like pity. You really thought you could outsmart me? You killed your husband. I saved my family. He would have destroyed everything, sent us to prison. For what? Moral superiority? She knelt beside me. The world isn't fair. It's brutal and corrupt and broken. The only choice is whether you survive it or it destroys you. I chose survival. By becoming a monster. By being realistic. She stood. The FBI raid happened this morning. Agent Chen had 40 agents hit 6 locations simultaneously. They found nothing. The accounts you photographed were already empty. The people named in those documents either have alibis or are already dead. Without corroborating evidence, without your testimony, it's just paranoid conspiracy theories from a dead man. We won't recant. We'll testify. No, you won't. Because if you do, I'll make sure your daughter's kindergarten teacher is one of ours. Her pediatrician. Her babysitter. Every person in her life will be compromised. She'll never be safe. You'll spend every moment wondering when we'll take her. And someday when she's 18, we will. Just like they did with my husband's great-grandfather 40 years ago. This is a multi-generational contract. Breaking it requires sacrifices you're not willing to make. She left. The warehouse door clanged shut. My husband looked at me. She's right. We can't win this. Your father tried. And they killed him for it. I won't let that happen to our daughter. On day 3, Agent Chen came to the warehouse. He stood on our side of the bars they'd put us behind, arms crossed. You're free to go, he said. No charges. The investigation is closed. Just like that? I asked. We raided 6 locations based on your photos. Found nothing. The accounts don't exist anymore. The people you named are ghosts. Without physical evidence, without corroborating witnesses, I have nothing. The U.S. attorney won't touch it. He looked at my husband. Your mother's lawyer filed a petition to reinstate her as trustee. Judge approved it this morning. Emergency ruling. Something about family stability and the best interests of a minor child. Which judge? My husband asked. Agent Chen showed him a name. One of the names from the photographs. On the Volkov payroll for 12 years. I'm sorry, Agent Chen said. I really thought this time. He stopped himself. Get your family somewhere safe. If you try this again, I can't protect you. They drove us back to our car. It was parked exactly where I'd left it. Untouched. My daughter's car seat still in the back, like nothing had happened. We drove to a park, sat on a bench while our daughter played in the sandbox. Normal families around us, kids laughing, parents on their phones. Nobody knew the war we'd just lost. We could still run, I said. Where? They found your sister at a random motel in a different state, found us at the bank. They have resources we can't match. So we just go back to our lives? Pretend this didn't happen? We play along, keep Victoria happy, raise our daughter, hope she's merciful. I watched our daughter dig in the sand. She was smiling, innocent. She didn't know her grandmother was a killer, that her family fortune was built on blood, that her future was already sold to people who saw her as property. I won't do it, I said. I won't raise her in that world. We don't have a choice. Your father found one, and it killed him. At least he tried. We sat in silence. Then my husband said, there's one option we haven't considered. Nuclear option. What? We burn it all. The estate, the accounts, the family name, everything. Make it worthless. They can't threaten us with money that doesn't exist. That's millions of dollars. Blood money. Let it burn. We spent the next week meeting with financial advisors, lawyers, tax specialists, converting assets, selling properties, liquidating accounts. Victoria tried to stop us, filing injunction after injunction. But my husband was now the trustee. Legally, it was his money to do with as he pleased. The Volkovs reached out. Threats at first, then negotiation attempts, then silence. On day 8, we signed the final documents. Every penny transferred to legitimate charities, the estate dissolved, the Ashford family fortune, all $47 million of it, gone. Victoria showed up at our house that night. She looked 10 years older. What have you done? What you should have done 40 years ago, my husband said. Ended it. They'll kill us all. Without the money, what leverage do they have? We're worthless now. Just another broke family with a notorious name. You naive fool. It was never about the money. It was about the arrangement, the structure. You've disrupted 40 years of carefully maintained relationships. Good. Let it all collapse. She stared at him, then at me. You've sentenced your daughter to death. No, I said. We've given her a chance to grow up free. Victoria walked out. We never saw her again. The next 3 months were the worst of our lives. We sold our house, moved into a small apartment across the country. I got a job as a receptionist. My husband worked construction. We were legitimately broke now, living paycheck to paycheck. But we were together, and we were free. The Volkovs made their move on month 4, not with violence, with exposure. Every dirty detail of the Ashford family history leaked to the press. Decades of corruption, money laundering, political bribes. My husband's name was everywhere. His father's death reinvestigated. Victoria was arrested at dawn, charged with conspiracy to commit murder. The trial was a media circus. For 8 weeks, every skeleton came tumbling out. The prosecutors had everything: names, dates, amounts, testimonies from organization members taking plea deals. The evidence my father-in-law had collected, combined with 4 decades of additional crimes. The Volkovs were done. 17 members arrested in coordinated raids. The organization collapsed from within. On the witness stand, Victoria looked at us one last time. I did it for family. To protect you. Everything I did was for you. You did it for power, my husband said. And you destroyed our family in the process. She got 25 years. 3 of the Volkov leadership got life. Agent Chen called us the day the verdicts came down. Your father would be proud. He started this. You finished it. We just made it worthless to them. You did the rest. Sometimes that's all it takes. Removing the incentive, the rest falls apart on its own. We hung up. Our daughter was learning to walk, taking shaky steps across our tiny living room. She didn't know her inheritance was gone. Didn't know her grandmother was in prison. Didn't know the price we'd paid for her freedom. She'll grow up normal, I said. Public schools, student loans, working for everything she gets. Just like we did. Better than the alternative. We watched her fall, get up, try again, determined, strong, free. 2 years later, my sister asked the question I'd been dreading. We were at Sunday dinner, our new tradition in our cramped apartment. Do you regret it? Giving up all that money? I thought about the mansion we'd sold, the cars, the lifestyle, the security that wealth provides. Then I looked at our daughter, coloring at the table, arguing with her cousin about which crayon was better. Every single day, I said. But I'd do it again. Really? Money like that has a cost. Compromises you don't see until it's too late. We paid for our freedom with dollars. Victoria paid with her soul. I know which price I prefer. My sister nodded. She'd moved in with us after the trial, helping with childcare while working her own job. The apartment was cramped. Money was tight. But we were safe. My husband came home from work, covered in drywall dust. Construction paid $22 an hour, a far cry from his trust fund. He kissed me, smelling of sweat and sawdust. How was work? Honest, he said. That's enough. We ate dinner together. Boxed pasta and jarred sauce. Our daughter complained it wasn't fancy enough. We laughed. She had no idea fancy meant compromised, controlled, owned. After dinner, I pulled out the envelope. My father-in-law's final message. I read it sometimes when I needed reminding. Take your family and disappear before you do this. I'm sorry I wasn't brave enough to finish it myself, but we hadn't disappeared. We'd stood and fought, in our own way, by making the thing they wanted worthless. Sometimes the only way to win is to flip the board. The phone rang. Unknown number. My heart stopped. Don't answer it, my husband said. It could be nothing. Or it could be them. I let it go to voicemail. 5 minutes later, I checked it. Agent Chen's voice. Need you to call me back. It's about Victoria. It's urgent. We called from my husband's phone. Agent Chen picked up immediately. Victoria's dead. Found in her cell this morning. Made to look like suicide, but the coroner's preliminary report says otherwise. The room spun. The Volkovs? What's left of them? Message to anyone who might testify in the upcoming appeals. There are 3 more trials scheduled. Lower-level members trying to flip on the leadership for reduced sentences. Victoria's death just scared them all silent. So they got away with it. Some of them. Not all. Never all. But enough. He paused. Watch your backs. You're the ones who burned their empire. They have long memories. We hung up. My husband was already packing our emergency bag, the one we'd kept by the door for 2 years, just in case. We're leaving, he said. Tonight. We can't keep running. We're not running. We're surviving. There's a difference. We threw clothes into suitcases. Our daughter was crying, confused by the sudden urgency. My sister grabbed her important documents from the drawer we kept by the door. 2 hours later, we were on the highway. No destination, just driving. The way we'd learned to live, always ready to move, never settling too deep. At a rest stop, my husband bought a burner phone, called a number he'd memorized years ago, his father's old military contact, the one who'd helped soldiers disappear when they had prices on their heads. I need 4 new identities, my husband said. Complete packages, birth certificates, social security numbers, the works. The voice on the other end quoted a price. We didn't have it. I'll pay you back, I promise. But right now, I need to protect my family. Silence. Then, your father saved my life in Baghdad. I owe him. Consider it paid. 3 days later, we picked up our new documents from a P.O. box in Nevada. New names, new histories, new lives. I wasn't the woman who'd added a clause to a prenup anymore. That person died with Victoria. Now, I was someone else entirely. A nurse, according to my new credentials. My husband was a teacher. Our daughter's birth certificate said she was born in Idaho. We settled in a small town in Montana, population 3,000, the kind of place where everyone knows everyone, which made it safer somehow. Harder to hide, harder to operate. I got a job at the local urgent care. My husband taught high school history. We rented a house for $800 a month. Our daughter started kindergarten. For 6 months, nothing happened. No strange cars, no suspicious visitors, no threats. Then one morning, I found an envelope in our mailbox. No stamp, hand-delivered. Inside was a single photograph, Victoria's funeral, and standing in the back, barely visible, A man with a scar across his cheek. The message was clear. They knew where we were. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every sound was a threat. Every shadow a killer. My husband stayed up too, watching the windows. We can't live like this, I said. What choice do we have? We finish what your father started. We don't just break the organization. We expose everyone. Every politician, every judge, every cop. All of it. Public record. Make it too hot for anyone to touch. They'll kill us. They're going to kill us anyway. At least this way, it means something. The next morning, I called Agent Chen from a secure line. I want to testify. Everything. No deals, no protection. Just put it all on record. You'd be signing your death warrant. I'm already dead. I'm just choosing how. He was quiet for a long time. Let me see what I can do. 2 weeks later, we sat in a federal courthouse. Not as witnesses, as plaintiffs. We'd filed a civil lawsuit against the Volkov organization. Even with the leadership in prison, their assets remained. Properties, accounts, legitimate businesses that fronted the operation. Our case was simple. We were victims of a criminal enterprise. Our father-in-law had been murdered. We'd been threatened, kidnapped, extorted. We wanted damages. Every penny the organization had ever touched. The case made national news. Not because of the money, because of the evidence we presented. 40 years of documents, recordings, testimonies, everything my father-in-law had collected, plus everything we'd experienced. The trial lasted 3 months. Every day I sat in that courtroom, watching their lawyers scramble. Every night we went home to armed security, provided by victims' rights groups who'd taken up our cause. The Volkovs tried everything. Intimidation, bribery, finally violence. A bomb in our car, caught by security before we got in. A break-in at our rental house, stopped by our bodyguard. Each attempt only added to our case. More evidence, more charges, more public outrage. On day 87, the jury returned. Verdict. We won. $127 million in damages, plus all remaining Volkov assets to be liquidated and distributed to victims. But more importantly, every piece of evidence became public record. Hundreds of names, thousands of transactions, the entire corrupt network exposed. Within a month, 14 politicians resigned. 6 judges were disbarred. 43 police officers were fired. The organization wasn't just broken, it was annihilated, scattered to ash. We never saw a penny of that judgment. The Volkov assets were mostly gone, hidden in offshore accounts we couldn't trace. But that was fine. We didn't do it for money. We did it for the freedom to exist without looking over our shoulders. A year later, we were still in Montana, still using our new names, still jumping at shadows. But the shadows were just shadows now. No more threats, no more visits. The last of the Volkov members were either in prison or had fled the country. Agent Chen called one last time. It's over. The last trial wrapped up yesterday. Everyone's convicted or fled. The organization is done. How many got away? Does it matter? The ones who mattered didn't? And the ones who escaped did it with nothing. You burned their whole world down. I hung up, told my husband. We sat together, not speaking, trying to process it. Freedom. Real freedom. The kind we'd been fighting for since the moment I added that clause to a prenup. Your father would be proud, I said. He'd be terrified. We did what he couldn't. Because we had each other. He was alone. Our daughter ran into the room holding a drawing. Look what I made at school. It was a house. Simple. Small. Colorful. That's us, she said proudly. Our family. No mansion, no gates, no security. Just 4 people in a tiny house with a bright sun overhead. It's perfect, I said. She beamed. Ran off to hang it on the fridge. Do you regret the prenup? My husband asked. Everything that came after? I thought about it. The fear, the violence, the years of running, the fortune we destroyed, the mother-in-law who died before we could find peace. No, that clause saved us. It started the chain reaction that ended everything. Sometimes the smallest rebellion leads to the biggest revolution. You sound like a teacher. I learned from the best. Your father. He left us a roadmap. We just had to be brave enough to follow it. We sat in our small living room. No leather furniture, no crystal chandeliers, no blood money paying for our comfort. Just us, free, broke, together. The prenup was still in a safe deposit box somewhere, under our old names. A reminder of how it all started. A piece of paper that destroyed an empire. I'd added one clause Victoria didn't read. In the end, she'd signed away more than her position as trustee. She'd signed away her power, her control, her future. One clause, 47 words. That's all it took to flip the board. 5 years later, my daughter was in 4th grade. She came home with a school project about family history. What do I write? She asked. I don't know anything about our family. My husband and I exchanged a look. We'd avoided this conversation, built new histories, new stories, protected her from the truth. Write about resilience, I said. About people who stood up against corruption. About bravery even when you're terrified. But what about Grandma? Why don't we ever talk about her? Your grandmother made choices, my husband said carefully. Choices that hurt people. But she also taught us something important. That family isn't about blood or money or tradition. It's about the people who stand beside you when everything falls apart. Our daughter processed this. So Aunt is more family than Grandma was? Yes. And Agent Chen, in his own way. And the lawyer who risked everything to help us. Family is who shows up when it matters. She wrote her project about chosen family. About strangers who became heroes. About the difference between power and strength. Her teacher gave her an A, called us in for a conference. This is remarkable work. Very mature for her age. Where did she learn about corruption and justice? Life experience, I said. The teacher looked at us closely, like she was trying to place us. Then she nodded. Well, she's an exceptional student. Bright future ahead of her. We left the school holding our daughter's hands. A normal family, normal problems, normal dreams. Can we get ice cream? Our daughter asked. Only if you promise to share with me, my husband said. She giggled. We walked to the ice cream shop 3 blocks away. No security, no bodyguards, no fear, just freedom. The kind we'd paid for with everything we had. The kind you can't buy with blood money. The kind that matters. At the ice cream shop, my daughter ordered strawberry. My husband got chocolate. I got vanilla. Boring, my daughter teased. Classic, I corrected. We sat outside watching people walk by. A woman pushed a stroller. A man walked his dog. Teenagers laughed at something on their phones. Normal, beautiful, simple. Do you think Grandma ever ate ice cream? My daughter asked suddenly. The question caught me off guard. Probably. Everyone eats ice cream, but was she happy when she ate it? My husband set down his cone. I think your grandmother forgot how to be happy. She was too busy trying to control everything. That's sad. It is. I don't want to be like that. You won't be, I promised. You're already different. You know what matters. She smiled. Strawberry ice cream on her nose. Happy, free, unbroken. Everything we'd fought for. Sitting right there in a 9-year-old's smile. That night, after our daughter was asleep, my husband pulled out a box from the closet. Inside were the documents. All of them. The prenup, the photos, the evidence, the court records. Should we destroy these? He asked. No. Someday she'll want to know. The real story, not the simplified version. She's going to think we're crazy. Maybe. Or maybe she'll understand that sometimes ordinary people have to do extraordinary things. That sometimes a prenup clause is a weapon. That sometimes the only way to win is to make everything worthless. We put the box back, sealed, waiting. For the daughter who'd ask questions someday. Who'd want to understand why we lived the way we did. Why we were so careful. Why we taught her to be brave and skeptical and aware. She'd find her own fights eventually. Make her own rebellions. We'd taught her well. In bed that night, I thought about Victoria's final words on the witness stand. Everything I did was for family. She'd believed that. Really believed it. But she'd confused control with protection, power with love, money with security. She'd destroyed her family trying to save it. We'd saved ours by destroying everything else. The difference mattered. I fell asleep holding my husband's hand. In our small house. In our quiet town. In our chosen life. No regrets. Just peace. The kind we'd earned. The kind that couldn't be bought or taken or threatened away. The kind that started with one woman who added a clause to a prenup and ended with an empire burned to ash.